Hello everyone and welcome to the Young and the Restless channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The day unfolds beneath a sky heavy with tension as the sprawling world of Genoa City begins to shift in quiet but irreversible ways. At the Newman Ranch, the air feels colder than usual when Victoria steps inside, carrying with her not just the weight of her journey from Milan, but the consequences of everything left unresolved. Her father, ever watchful, wastes no time asking how things went, his tone sharp with expectation. Victoria admits the truth with a measured breath. She couldn't force Summer to confront Phyllis face to face, but she did manage to persuade her into writing a scathing letter instead. It's a small victory wrapped in uncertainty, and Victor dismisses it almost instantly, doubting it will make any real difference. With a quiet confidence that borders on arrogance, he reveals he's already secured what mattered most. Chancellor is back under his control. But the triumph is hollow, because when Victoria assumes Nikki must be pleased, Victor delivers a far colder truth. Nikki isn't coming back. She's gone. The revelation lingers like a storm cloud between them, and Victoria quickly pieces together the deeper fracture, correctly sensing that Jack is at the center of it all. Victor's irritation bubbles to the surface as he grumbles that Nikki refuses to see Jack for what he truly was, a mere means to an end. He speaks with a stubborn finality, unwilling to tolerate criticism, even from the woman he once called his partner in everything. In his mind, Nikki's departure is her own doing, a consequence of her refusal to come to her senses. The words hang heavy, carrying the implication that this time their break may not heal. For all his power, Victor seems blind to the emotional wreckage left in his wake, convinced that reconciliation will only happen on his terms, or not at all. Across town at Crimson Lights, a different kind of worry simmers beneath softer lighting and quiet conversations. Sharon and Noah sit together, their concern centered on Nick, their voices laced with unease about the dangerous path he's taken. When Nikki arrives, she steps into the conversation seamlessly, though the tension in her expression betrays how much she's carrying. They fill her in on the plan involving Riza and the hope of uncovering Matt's location, clinging to the fragile belief that this strategy might bring clarity. There's a shared relief that Noah didn't follow Nick to Vegas, though it's tempered by regret that they couldn't stop Nick himself. As the conversation drifts, Noah offers Nikki a Billie Holiday album, a simple, heartfelt gesture that unexpectedly cracks her composure. Emotion rises in her throat, and it becomes clear to both him and Sharon that something deeper is troubling her. When Noah gently asks about her move away from the ranch, Nikki deflects, insisting it's only temporary, a break, nothing more, before quickly steering the conversation elsewhere as if afraid the truth might unravel her completely. That fragile calm is interrupted when Sienna arrives, urgency written all over her face as she pulls Noah aside. At the same moment, Nikki receives a message from Victoria, and without hesitation, she leaves, drawn back into the orbit of unfinished business. Meanwhile, at the Chancellor estate, the atmosphere is anything but calm. Devon and Nate greet Lily with restrained warmth, but it doesn't take long before their concern turns into interrogation. The question they've been holding back spills out. Was she and the twins being held against their will? Lily tries to dodge, to redirect, but the weight of their worry has already built into something uncontainable. Devon confesses he hasn't been sleeping, his voice heavy with exhaustion, while Nate demands honesty. Cornered, Lily finally admits the truth. It was all a ruse. The fallout is immediate and explosive. Devon and Nate are stunned, then furious. their disbelief morphing into anger as they realized the pain they endured was built on nothing but deception. Lily attempts to explain, her words tangled between guilt and justification, but Devon doesn't hold back, comparing her actions to the very betrayals they've all suffered before. She insists she won't make excuses, yet every sentence that follows sounds like one, as she tries to rationalize the choices that led her here. When she reveals that she believed this plan could win back Chancellor, Devon assumes Victor manipulated her yet again. But Lily attempts to spin it differently. It doesn't matter. Neither of them trusts anything tied to the Newmans anymore. To them, the entire ordeal feels pointless, and Devon's accusation cuts deep as he suggests she may have done it all just to strike back at her ex. Elsewhere, beneath the polished elegance of the athletic club, Nikki and Victoria meet, their conversation circling the same unrelenting force, Victor. Nikki lays out his actions, her frustration sharpening every word, though even she struggles to fully connect the chain of events that led to Diane leaving Jack. To Victoria, it all sounds less damning than her mother believes, as though Victor's actions, however extreme, weren't entirely unjustified. The divide between them grows more visible with every passing moment, as Nikki sees a man consumed by vengeance, while Victoria still sees a father whose motives can be understood. But Nikki reaches her breaking point, her voice rising with conviction as she declares that Victor's behavior has gone too far, that it's time someone finally teaches him a lesson. At society, the mood shifts into something darker and more volatile. Kane Ashby sits alone, nursing his drink and his wounds, determined to stay out of Lily's life despite the emotional storm still raging inside him. His solitude doesn't last long. Victor arrives, his presence commanding, his intentions unmistakable. There's a cruel satisfaction in the way he engages, eager to provoke, to remind Kane of how thoroughly events have unfolded in his favor. Kane confronts him, revealing that Nikki tipped him off about the scheme, his anger barely contained. While Victor's ruthlessness comes as no surprise, Kane admits he never imagined Lily capable of such calculated betrayal. Victor's response is chillingly casual. He simply laughs, raising his glass in a self-congratulatory toast, reveling in the chaos he's orchestrated. Back at Crimson Lights, Sienna's fear begins to crystallize into something far more dangerous. She shows Noah the latest messages from Matt, her hands trembling slightly as she pieces together a horrifying possibility. As Noah tries to reassure her that his father will handle everything, the realization hits her like a jolt. What if Matt planted Riza as a distraction? What if the entire plan was designed to lure Nick out of town? The implication is terrifying. Matt might not be far away at all. He could be right here, watching, waiting. The sense of safety they clung to dissolves in an instant, replaced by the chilling awareness that they may have walked straight into a trap. At the Chancellor estate, Lily's confession continues to unravel her world. She admits that when she told Kane the truth, he made his feelings painfully clear. He never wants to see her again. Devon and Nate don't sugarcoat their response. They see it as a relief, a clean break from something that has already caused too much damage. Devon urges her to walk away from Victor's deal entirely, to cut her losses before the consequences grow even worse. His words carry both frustration and concern, a desperate attempt to steer his sister away from a path that seems destined to hurt everyone involved. Meanwhile, the confrontation at society escalates into something far more ominous. Victor boasts to Kane that manipulating Lily required almost no effort, his arrogance on full display as he suggests Kane should simply leave town and return to France. But Kane stands his ground, his voice steady with defiance as he makes it clear he's not going anywhere. There's a dangerous edge to his words when he warns Victor that he could still burn everything down, that it wouldn't take much, just a single spark. Victor responds with mocking laughter, dismissing the threat as Kane walks away. But the final words he growls carry a promise of escalating war. He vows to make Kane's life hell, the threat lingering in the air like the first rumble of an approaching storm. And as the day draws on, every corner of Genoa City seems to pulse with the same underlying truth. Alliances are fracturing, trust is dissolving, and beneath it all, something far more dangerous is beginning to take shape, ready to ignite at any moment. As the tension ripples outward through Genoa City, it doesn't settle, it deepens, coiling tighter around every fractured relationship and unspoken fear. The echo of Victor's threat lingers long after Kane walks out of society, following him into the night like a shadow that refuses to loosen its grip. Outside, the world feels deceptively calm, but inside Kane's mind, everything is shifting, recalculating, hardening. His pain over Lily hasn't faded. It's transformed into something sharper, something far more dangerous. Every word Victor spoke, every smug smile, every calculated move has pushed him closer to an edge he may not come back from. And for the first time, there's a quiet, unsettling certainty in his resolve. He's not just going to endure this, he's going to respond. Back at the athletic club, Nikki's anger refuses to cool, simmering just beneath the surface as Victoria struggles to reconcile the man she defends with the damage her mother so clearly sees. The space between them feels wider now, filled with years of loyalty, denial, and painful truths neither woman can fully escape. Nikki's voice trembles, not with weakness but with conviction, as she speaks about Victor not as a husband but as a man consumed by control and vengeance. Victoria listens, but there's resistance in her silence, a daughter's instinct clashing with the undeniable reality unfolding around them. And yet, even she can't completely ignore the cracks forming in her father's carefully constructed image. For a fleeting moment, uncertainty flickers in her eyes, quick, subtle, but real, before she steadies herself, holding on to the version of Victor she still believes in, even as it becomes harder to justify. Meanwhile, at Crimson Lights, the sense of danger grows heavier with every passing second as Sienna's realization refuses to let go. The idea that Matt could be watching them, lurking somewhere just beyond sight, turns the familiar cafe into something almost unrecognizable. Every glance toward the door, every passing stranger suddenly feels suspicious, charged with possibility. Noah tries to ground her, to offer logic against fear, but even he can't fully dismiss the scenario she's laid out. The plan that once felt controlled and strategic now seems riddled with holes, as if they've been reacting to a game where the rules were never clear. And in that uncertainty, a new fear takes hold. Not just that Nick is in danger, but that they all are, caught in a web they didn't even realize they were stepping into. At the Chancellor Estate, the emotional fallout continues to unfold with quiet devastation. Lily stands in the aftermath of her confession, surrounded not by understanding but by disappointment that cuts far deeper than anger. Devon's words echo in her mind, urging her to walk away, to let go of a deal that has already cost too much. Nate's silence, heavy and disapproving, only reinforces the truth she's trying to avoid, that in chasing control, she may have lost everything that mattered. The weight of Kane's rejection lingers strongest of all, his absence more painful than any argument could have been. For a moment, the confidence she once held begins to crumble, replaced by something raw and uncertain. And yet, even in that vulnerability, there's a flicker of stubborn determination, as if part of her still believes she can fix what's been broken, even if she no longer knows how. Across town, Nikki's declaration continues to reverberate, her decision forming not just as an emotional reaction but as a quiet line drawn in the sand. Teaching Victor a lesson isn't just about anger, it's about consequence, about forcing a man who has always controlled the narrative to finally face one he cannot manipulate. It's a dangerous path, one that could ignite something far more destructive than she intends. But for Nikki, the risk no longer outweighs the necessity. She spent too long standing beside him, excusing him, trying to understand him. Now, for the first time in a long time, she is stepping away, not in retreat but in defiance. And somewhere in the background of it all, unseen but deeply felt, the possibility of Matt's presence looms like a gathering storm. The pieces don't quite fit yet, but the pattern is beginning to emerge, hinting at something far more calculated than anyone anticipated. If Sienna is right, then this isn't just a game of pursuit, it's a trap already set, one that's been patiently waiting for its moment to snap shut. And if that moment is closer than they think, then every decision being made now, every confrontation, every betrayal, every act of defiance may be leading them exactly where someone wants them to be. By the time night fully settles over Genoa City, nothing feels stable anymore. Relationships hang by threads, alliances teeter on the edge of collapse, and beneath it all, a quiet, dangerous momentum builds. The lines between right and wrong blur, replaced by survival, pride, and the desperate need to hold on to control. And as each character moves forward, driven by their own fears, desires, and regrets, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The storm isn't coming, it's already here. As night deepens over Genoa City, the illusion of calm dissolves completely, replaced by a restless energy that seems to hum beneath every streetlight and shadowed corner. The choices made throughout the day begin to echo louder, colliding in ways no one can fully predict. Kane moves through the darkness with a quiet intensity, his thoughts no longer tangled in confusion but sharpened into purpose. The pain Lily left behind has settled into something colder, something that doesn't beg for resolution but demands action. Victor's taunts replay in his mind, fueling a resolve that feels dangerously close to recklessness. There's a shift in him now, subtle but undeniable, as though he's stepping into a version of himself that no longer hesitates. And somewhere in that transformation lies the real threat. Not loud or impulsive, but calculated and patient, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. At the same time, Nikki finds herself alone, the weight of a decision pressing down in the quiet that follows confrontation. The distance from the ranch feels both liberating and deeply unsettling, as if she's finally stepped out from under Victor's shadow only to realize how much of her life was shaped by it. Her anger hasn't faded, but it's no longer explosive. It's focused, deliberate, evolving into something far more powerful than a simple reaction. She replays every moment, every betrayal, every time she chose to stand by him despite knowing better. Now, those memories no longer justify loyalty, they reinforce her resolve. For the first time, she isn't thinking about how to fix Victor or stand beside him. She's thinking about what it means to stand against him. And that shift, quiet as it is, may be the most dangerous development of all. Back at Crimson Lights, the sense of unease refuses to loosen its grip on Noah and Sienna. What once felt like a safe space now feels exposed. Every entrance and exit suddenly carrying weight. Every passing second stretching longer than it should. Noah tries to stay grounded, but even he can't ignore the tension building in his chest. The instinct that tells him something isn't right. Sienna's theory continues to take shape, growing more convincing the more they examine it. If Matt truly orchestrated this, then everything they believed they controlled was nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion. The thought lingers heavily between them that Nick may have been led away on purpose, leaving the rest of them vulnerable. And as that realization sinks in, the fear shifts from uncertainty to urgency, pushing them closer to a truth they may not be ready to face. At the Chancellor estate, Lily remains caught in the aftermath of her own choices, standing in a silence that feels far louder than any argument. The anger from Devon and Nate has settled into something more distant, more final, and somehow that hurts even more. Their disappointment doesn't just question her actions, it questions her judgment, her priorities, her sense of loyalty. Kane's rejection continues to echo in her mind, not as a moment of anger, but as a door firmly closed. And yet, even as everything around her seems to crumble, Lily's mind keeps searching for a way forward, a way to reclaim what's been lost. But the truth is beginning to surface, slow and unavoidable, that some consequences don't come with second chances, and some lines, once crossed, can't simply be undone. Elsewhere, Victor remains exactly where he's always been, at the center of it all, unshaken, unmoved, and dangerously confident. To him, the fractures forming around him aren't signs of failure. They're proof of control, evidence that his influence still shapes every outcome. Kane's defiance amuses him, Nikki's departure frustrates him, and Lily's choices serve his purpose, whether she realizes it or not. But even in his certainty, there's an undercurrent he refuses to acknowledge. A growing resistance that doesn't follow his rules, doesn't bend to his will. He thrives on power, on strategy, on always being 10 steps ahead. But what happens when the people around him stop playing by his game? It's a question he hasn't answered yet, and one that may soon demand his attention. And somewhere, just beyond their reach, the shadow of Matt looms larger than ever. His presence no longer just a possibility, but an inevitability waiting to reveal itself. The trap, if it truly exists, is already in motion, its design unfolding with quiet precision. Every distraction, every misstep, every carefully timed move has led to this moment, where the lines between hunter and prey begin to blur. If he's watching, and all signs suggest he is, then he's already seen their fear, their doubt, their fractures, and he's waiting, not to act in haste, but to strike when it matters most. By the time the city finally begins to sleep, the tension hasn't eased. It has settled, deeper and heavier, like the calm before something far more devastating. Every character stands on the edge of something irreversible, their paths inching closer to collision with each passing moment. And as the darkness stretches on, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Whatever comes next won't just change everything. It will expose who they really are when there's nothing left to hide.